Hey everyone, Art Burns here. I hope that you're making it through these trying and difficult times and challenging times with a level of presence, a level of acceptance, and a level of compassion that's keeping you feeling good and keeping your head straight and keeping yourself calm and and avoiding emotional turmoil. I hope that for you, and I hope it for me sometimes too. And so for all of you who are parents out there, I've gotten so many comments recently about parenting and mindfulness because of I've started to sort of weave some parenting, mindfulness and parenting content into my videos here, and so I thought I'd like to share some more information about mindfulness and parenting. So one of the things I've been asked before is, how does mindfulness make you a better parent, right? And in essence, I have to honestly answer that question that in and of itself, mindfulness does not make you a better parent. But what it does is it makes you a more present parent, it makes you a more honest parent, and it makes you a more authentic parent. Okay, and so by extension, yes, all of these things are going to improve whatever parenting style you decide to do. But when I say it doesn't make you a better parent, it's not like mindfulness comes with a parenting guide. There's no like step by step parenting style that's particular to mindfulness, right? And so you're still going to have to make the choices of how you decide to parent your children. The values that you choose to instill in them, the discipline techniques you choose to use, and all those things. Those are all still going to be choices you have to make. But when you do practice mindfulness and you've developed the traits of mindfulness within you, then those choices that you make as to what kind of parent you want to be, how you want to discipline your children, how you want to guide them, how you want to teach them, those decisions are going to be made from a place of honesty and authenticity and compassion, in which is going to benefit those choices themselves, right? So in essence, yes, it does make you a better parent in that sense, right? And so why is that though? What is it about mindfulness that does this, right? And I'd like to cover that today. Essentially, mindfulness is nothing more than paying attention moment to moment to your experiences as they're unfolding, right? And doing so without judgment. So that includes not only the external experiences that you're having, but it also includes the internal experiences, right? The emotional experiences, the mental experiences, right? So to really be aware of what you're going through as you're going through it, right? And to do so with honesty and without judgment, okay? Now, mindfulness is a skill, just like any other skill that you've ever learned any other skill you've ever developed in your life, right? So whether you play a musical instrument, whether you've learned to drive in your life, ride a bicycle, virtually anything that you've ever learned to do, right? So take driving, it's something pretty universal for all of us, right? The first time you got in a car, you were so nervous, you gripping that steering wheel, there were so many different things to worry about, right? The seat position, the mirror position, the where all the levers are, where all the buttons are, and all this stuff that was going on, right? How fast am I going? Am I in the right, am I centered in the lane? All these thoughts were going through your mind, right? The first time that you drove a car. Now, you could get into any car on earth and just, turn the key, start driving, right? We don't even think about it, right? Because we've done it so much that it's a skill that is now something that we don't have to even consider. We just do it, right? And so mindfulness is very similar to that, right? And in the beginning, it requires a lot of practice to develop that skill. Right now, the way that we practice to develop the skill of mindfulness, right, the ability to pay attention to everything we're going through as we're going through it, and do so without judgment. The way we develop that skill is through meditation. Okay, now meditation has two different forms, right? There's a formal meditation where you sit down, you close your eyes, you focus your mind on a singular thing, right? Which is, for most meditators, that's the breath, right? And as we focus our mind on the breath, what we do is we let all the other thoughts that tend to distract us from paying attention to what's happening and doing so without judgment, we let those things just go by, right? Just like clouds blowing across a blue sky, right? And so when we do this enough, what we're doing is we're expanding our awareness, right? Because as we sit there and we allow ourselves to focus on one particular thing, again, those distracting thoughts start to, they just become less distracting. And now we can sort of open ourselves up to everything's happening, right? Now, that's the formal way to meditate. Now, the informal way to meditate is to simply pay attention to what you're doing as you're doing it, right? And we can just, the way I work with people is we pick one thing the first time and we just say, okay, every time you brush your teeth, something you don't have to think about ever, but every time you brush your teeth, just listen to the sound of the toothbrush, right? Like, listen to it, like, really be present with that, right? Do that for a few weeks, add something more. Add, like, when you're washing dishes, really pay attention to the feeling of the dishes, the temperature of the water, the texture of the sponge. Pay attention to that tactile experience of washing dishes, right? And as we do more and more of these things, that becomes kind of an informal way to meditate, right? You're meditating on doing the dishes by focusing on that one thing, right? Which, again, most of us, when we're doing the dishes, we're scrubbing the dishes in a way that we don't have to think about. And what we are thinking about is, what's the meeting that I have to go to tomorrow, or what is the phone call I have to make tomorrow, or what cookies are in the cupboard that I'm going to eat when I'm done with these dishes, right? It could be anything, right? And so the idea is, as we train our mind through formal meditation and through these informal meditations, what we're doing is we're increasing our awareness of our present situation, our present experience, right? And so when we do that, right, the magical thing that happens when we do this, right, is we become aligned with who we really are. What it is sensing into ourselves, right? It's uncovering who we truly are. Right, that's essentially what it is, and when we do that, right, when we kind of strip away all the judgments that we have of things and all the distractions that we have of things and the things that we get worried about, of, like, what other people think of us, or what we're supposed to be accomplishing in our lives, when we let go of some of that stuff and really just pay attention to what is happening, right? That's when we become our authentic selves, right? And when we can become our authentic selves as parents, my friends, that's when the magic happens, because that's when you are showing up as a parent, not based on the implicit biases that you learned when you were little from some teacher that gave you this idea of how something was supposed to be, or a soccer coach, or a friend's parent, or your parents, or what have you. Because all these things that we learn, right, they're based on other people's experiences, right? And so some of them are helpful, of course. I mean, you learn to look both ways before you cross the street. There's a lot of very, very helpful implicit biases that we learned when we were children, keeping us safe. Sometimes keeping an open mind can be an implicit bias, that if we were lucky enough to learn that from our children, from our parents. Not all of us were, right? And so the idea, again, is that when we're parenting from our authentic self, right, from who we really are, not the influences that we have of of our parents, or our teachers, or our movies that we've watched, or television that we've watched, or books that we've read, right? Aside from the books that we've intentionally read about parenting, right? When we do that, right, we're showing up for our kids on a level that's really, really important, because what we're able to do is we're able to bring awareness to their experience, right? This whole concept of attunements I've talked about here before, right? That we can attune ourselves to our children beyond their behavior, right? And beyond the behavioral cues that they're showing us, and into the emotional experience that they're having. Right? And when we can connect to them emotionally, and kind of see the world through their eyes on an emotional level, well, then we can guide them in ways that is really far beyond anything that you're going to read in a parenting book, or anything that you're going to copy the kind of techniques that you saw in your parents or your grandparents or what have you, right? Because the thing is that, and I'm not saying that your parents were wrong. I mean, you might wind up doing everything that your parents parents did because you realized that it was right. But the thing is that when we're mindful, we can challenge those things. We can just not accept them automatically. We can challenge them a little, and we can say, okay, is this the best thing for my children? Is this the best thing that happened to me? Or when we do this work, we reveal things that we might not have ever known about how we grew up and how maybe some of the things that we grew up, knowledge that we grew up with has not served us, right? And so now we can correct that from our authentic self. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. I hope you enjoy that. I hope it helps you to understand how valuable mindfulness can be with parenting. So if you have any questions, please drop a comment below, send me a direct message, send me an email. Let's talk more, because these practices are super simple. And the bottom line is that when you do become aligned with your authentic self, you really don't know what you're going to find. And that's part of the magic of it too, right? Like we really become, it's self-exploration that becomes very, very valuable. So it's worth trying, trust me. So please, if you'd like, send me a comment or a direct message or an email. Let's talk about some of these very, very simple techniques that you can put into place tomorrow or today, like right now. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.